Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 106 in the book of Genesis. And today is going to be about discerning God's will. It's a story where Abraham sends a servant on a 1,000-mile journey to get a wife for his 40-year-old son, Isaac. Now, why should we study it? Well, first of all, it's a long narrative. It's 67 verses. It's all of chapter 24 in the book of Genesis. And so why should we study it? Well, because it's important. And what's it do for me right now? Well, it's a story that gives us an idea about how to discern. How is the Lord sovereign in everyday kind of decisions? And what is the faithful approach to large decisions in our life? And I think you are facing some big decision right now where you will have the opportunity to bow down in regards to God's history and our previous interactions with God and our dependence on God currently and hope in our current interactions with the Lord. So I think it's fair to read this passage with an eye to yourself. Here we go. It's Genesis chapter 24. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, we don't know his name, the oldest of his household, who had charge of all he had, put your hand underneath my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven on the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, that's where he's living now, among whom I dwell, but go to my country, to my kindred, and take a wife for my son. So the interesting thing about this, let me just pause for a second. He left Mesopotamia about 100 years before this, and yet still refers to it as my country, my kindred. And he kind of doesn't want his daughter-in-law to be from the Canaanites, who are going to be a picture of evil here soon enough. And he says to the servant, I want you to go on a 1,000-mile journey, 500 plus miles one way and back, and at 25 miles a day, that's 6 weeks. It probably took him more like 8 weeks to make the round trip journey. He takes 10 camels and men to care for them and riches. So it's a 2-month journey at great peril, great cost, great expense. Verse 5. The servant said to him, perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I then take your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, see to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, your offspring I will give this land. He will send his angel before you. That's a beautiful part of this. He will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. So this is the faithful servant of Abraham. It's his oldest, most faithful guy who had been through all the battles with Abraham. He was also in charge of all he had, so he's trusted. And this sign of submission to the strength and authority, this putting his hand under his thigh, is these guys are united and committed to this. Later on, he's going to pray that the Lord would grant him success in this, and specifically call on a particular aspect of God's character. So this guy, the servant guy, knows God's character and God's interaction with Abraham. So there's this providential side to this, and there's also all this planning and direction that Abraham and the servant are going to do. All right, we got to talk about camels for a second. Verse 10. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, taking all sorts of choice gifts from his master. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, 500 miles away, to the city of Nahor. So camels, if you ever seen them up close, you know that they're big, they're powerful, and at that time they were very rare, very valuable, and so he takes 10 of them as this sign of incredible wealth. And of note, the camels can drink 57 liters at a time, so that's like about 15 gallons, and he's got 10 of them. So potentially these camels, when they end up at this well here in a second, they could drink 150 gallons. Think about that. Verse 11, and he made the camels kneel down outside the city, by the well of water at the time of evening, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show steadfast love to my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring of water, and the daughters of men of the city are coming out to draw water. Let the young woman to whom I say, please let down your jar that I may drink, and who shall say, drink, and I will water your camels, 150 gallons worth maybe. Let her be the one that you have appointed for your servant Isaac. By this I shall know that you have steadfast love to my master. All right, so here's some of the points today. This is a real person, real people making real decisions about real faithfulness. And here's what I have previously known about the character of God. Here's what I've known about the activity of God. So these people come with a history of God, with some footprints with God, and so that they can step in the current footprints of God. So God's hand is guiding and orchestrating this meeting, as well as they're also doing things that are planning on this meeting. So this is God's sovereignty. God is providing a way. God is in charge of the story ultimately, but people are also involved in the story as far as planning and preparing and thinking about and praying. So the principles of discernment here, I think, is where we're going. That discernment is best done with a history. So this is not Abraham's or his servant's first day. It's demonstrating some long history with God, 100 years. And if your history isn't 100 years, then start today. Discernment is best done with prayer and pleading and dependence. So yes, the Lord has a special relationship with Abraham, but we can't say, oh, that's just Abraham. We don't have that special relationship. Well, why did God have a special relationship with Abraham? So that Abraham could be a blessing to the whole world in this way, that he could extend a relationship to you. So you can have the boldness of Abraham, the intimacy of Abraham, almost this presumptiveness in the story that this is the way God has operated in the past. So discernment is best done with this posture of experience, but also posture of dependence that they actually verbalize. And then finally today is discernment is best done with expectation. Like they pretty much expect this thing to go off well. So today, why study the story? Why look at the story? Because you're making a similar decision today. So let's make the decision like Abraham did. Thanks for listening.